Incredible 10-year-old black girl's heartwarming act of kindness revealed a life-changing secret. Maya Johnson had a heart as big as her dreams. In her close-knit urban neighborhood, everyone knew her name, but it was her kindness that made her unforgettable. Every Saturday, the local community center buzzed with laughter and familiar chatter, a safety net for families facing hard times. But amid that laughter, there lived a hush surrounding Mr. Thompson, a solemn war veteran whose eyes revealed a story of sacrifice and loss. Maya noticed the sadness etched across Mr. Thompson's worn hands and distant gaze. Each week as she volunteered, she tucked away his quiet moments in her heart, like treasured secrets from a wise old ancestor. What made him so sad? The thought gnawed at her until one day, brimming with curiosity, she approached him. "Mr. Thompson," she said, her voice gentle but brave, "what do you think about when you're staring out the window?" He turned to her, and for a moment, his expression softened. "Sometimes I think about the medals I lost," he murmured, a flicker of pride igniting in his voice. It was then that Maya felt a surge of compassion. This man held a part of her history, and his battles were far from over. From that day on, a friendship blossomed. Mr. Thompson, the stoic veteran, found solace in Maya's boundless spirit, while she discovered a treasure trove of stories that connected her to a time long past. They sat together, often sharing her sandwiches or his stories of valor, and with every laugh, she breathed warmth into his cold memories, igniting hope where darkness lingered. Determined to give back, Maya came up with an idea that lit her up from within. She organized a "thank you" campaign to honor veterans. They shouldn't be forgotten, she announced at the community meeting, her tenacity infectious. Using her allowance, she began crafting colorful cards and posters. But the thrill of her mission met resistance. Neighborhood squabbles erupted, accusations flew, and the very community meant to support each other suddenly felt divided. "Be careful, Maya," her mother warned, concern shadowing her eyes. "Not everyone will understand your kind heart." Yet, the thought of Mr. Thompson's lost medals weighed heavily on her. She concocted a grand event that would celebrate his bravery, but the celebration started becoming an uphill battle. As the date approached, Maya's confidence wavered. Could her childlike innocence break the walls of prejudice that stood tall in her neighborhood? The laughter in the community center now echoed with doubt, and as she shared her dream with Mr. Thompson, his eyes shone with a blend of hope and caution. They sat in silence, contemplating the chasm between their worlds. On the day of the event, Maya stood before a sea of faces, anxiety bubbling in her chest. Each person present was a reflection of the hopes and fears that resided in them all. Suddenly, before she could speak, a figure stepped forward from the crowd, a challenge in the shape of a question lingering in the air. The moment hung heavy, like a breath held too long. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Maya steadied her breath and prepared herself. This was more than a celebration, it was an opportunity to weave a tapestry of belonging. Would all her heart and effort be enough to unite them, and could they finally stand together to honor Mr. Thompson, a man whose service had crafted a world they all shared? The crowd stirred with expectancy, leaving Maya's heart racing as she faced the growing uncertainty of the moment. Maya's voice trembled as she glanced at the figure stepping from the crowd. It was Terrence, a boy from her school known for his sharp tongue and unyielding attitude. "Why should we care about some old man and his medals?" he called out, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. The room went silent, the air thick with tension. Maya felt a wave of heat rush to her cheeks, embarrassment mixing with determination. She wanted to say something clever, something that would change his mind. But the words just wouldn't come. Instead, she took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Mr. Thompson isn't just some old man," she started, her voice rising above the murmurs that began to ripple through the crowd. "He fought for our freedom. She paused, searching for the right words. He faced things that none of us can even imagine. Maya thought about the stories they'd shared, how Mr. Thompson had shielded others while risking his own life. He lost friends and gained scars, and he deserves our respect. Seeing the faces in the crowd, she felt a small spark of hope. Some looked intrigued, others still skeptical. But she had planted a seed and it was growing, however slowly. This event isn't just for him, she continued, locking eyes with each person in the room, it's for all the veterans. It's a way for us to say thank you, to show that we see them, truly see them. But Terence wasn't done. And what makes you think they want that? What if they don't even care? He shrugged, a challenge lacing his tone. Maya's heart sank. Could he be right? What if veterans only felt forgotten because they wanted to be? But before she could answer, Mr. Thompson shifted, standing slowly and leaning on the wall for support. His presence exuded both weariness and strength. Maybe some of us feel invisible, Mr. Thompson began, his voice low but steady. But I'll tell you a secret, it's a beautiful thing to be recognized. To know someone cares enough to remember. His eyes bore wisdom that belied his age. When you serve, you carry the memories of your brothers and sisters in arms. Their sacrifices stay with you like a heavy blanket, and sometimes, the only thing that lifts that weight is someone saying thank you. A hush fell over the crowd, punctuated by soft murmurs of agreement. Maya could see the change in their expressions, an opening to understanding. Mr. Thompson was brave, Maya said, her voice clearer now. And the strength it takes to say you need help. That's brave too. Terence looked taken aback, perhaps even a bit ashamed. Maya's chest swelled. Was there a chance she could bring everyone together still? As the murmurs of conversation began to rise again, fueled by Mr. Thompson's words, Maya felt the warmth of hope wash over her. Yet, a thought flickered in her mind: what if this was just the beginning? The crowd began to engage, sharing stories of their own families and experiences. Maya's heart soared, but doubts still lingered. Could they come together to honor Mr. Thompson? Would the celebration truly reflect the love and gratitude she wished to convey? Suddenly, a hand shot up from the back. It was Ms. Carter, the center's coordinator. What's your plan for honoring our veterans, Maya? The question sent electricity through her veins. It was time to answer, to rally her community even more. But just as she opened her mouth, she thought of the final preparations, the decorations that needed to be finished, and the stories they all still had to share. The weight of it all pressed down on her, a responsibility greater than one little girl could carry alone. As the excitement flickered around her, Maya realized this wasn't just about her love for Mr. Thompson, it was about building a bridge to the future, to a stronger community where everyone felt valued. Could they come together before the celebration? She looked around at each expectant face, wondering what stories and struggles still lurked under the surface, waiting to be revealed. What if she could turn this event into something more than a thank you, something that could change everything? Maya's plan began to grow, taking shape in her mind. But would she have the strength to lead them where they needed to go? Uncertainty sat heavy on her shoulders as she prepared to share her vision. And as she opened her mouth, the question loomed: what if the true challenge was not just the event, but how deep the roots of their unhealed wounds ran? Maya took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest. As the eyes of the community settled on her, she felt the weight of their expectations pressed down like a heavy coat. This wasn't just about a memorial, it was about connection, breaking the silence that hung between them. I want to share some ideas, she began, her voice steadying as she spoke. We could create a wall of stories. Each of us could write what we appreciate about the veterans. We can decorate it with pictures and memories from our families. She could see the glimmers of interest in their faces. Some nodded along, while others whispered to each other, caught in the web of her words. We can invite veterans to come and share their stories too. Imagine sitting down with Mr. Thompson and hearing him talk about his experiences, real experiences that shaped who we are today. The room buzzed with a mix of excitement and skepticism. Maya glanced at Terence. His arms were crossed, his expression unreadable. She swallowed hard, she needed to win him over. Think about your grandparents or uncles who fought. What if they could tell us what they went through? We need to listen. A thoughtful murmur passed through the crowd. Maya could see Ms. Carter smiling, her eyes shining with pride. That's a great idea. A chance for everyone to be heard. Maya felt a surge of courage. And we could end the day with a potluck. Everyone brings a dish that means something to them. It could be a way to connect, to share our cultures and histories. The idea rolled off her tongue, and as she spoke the words, she envisioned families gathering in the park, food sizzling on grills, laughter echoing under the trees. What do you think, guys? She called out, desperation creeping into her tone. Can we make this happen? The crowd seemed to be warming up, voices rising in agreement. But then, from the back, Terence shot up again. What is stopping us from just staying home? What if nobody shows? What if it's a complete flop? His words pierced through her hopeful thoughts. Fear washed over her like a cold wave. What if he was right? What if no one wanted to participate? Because Maya began, her voice shaky at first, but gaining strength, we owe it to them to try. We owe it to ourselves to build something better. My grandpa was a veteran. He taught me that change starts when we refuse to stay quiet. Terence hesitated, a shadow of conflict crossing his face. For a second, it felt as though she had reached him. Maybe his guard was cracking. All right, maybe it sounds good, he muttered, his defiance wavering. But who is going to take charge? Who is going to actually put all this together? Maya's heart skipped. This was at the moment they needed her most. I will. But I can't do this alone. Her voice rang with determination. I need each of you. We can form committees to help organize everything. Together, we'll make this special. The crowd erupted into chatter, excitement brewing like a storm. But just as she felt their energy spark, doubt whispered in her mind. What if they failed? Could she really lead them to success? As the discussion pushed forward, she found herself locked in a mix of hope and anxiety. Maya looked around, noticing the animated faces. All around her, there were stories waiting to be told. And just as the air buzzed with possibility, Maya sensed something shift within her. She realized that each moment they spent planning was not just about the event, it was a chance to bridge the gaps in their community. Let us meet tomorrow to start organizing. She shouted, barely containing her eagerness. But as she turned to leave, Terence's expression lingered in her mind. Was he ready to join them, or would he retreat to his doubts? What if the seeds they planted today could turn into something greater, a chance to heal together? Maya's heart raced as she pondered this, her spirit flickering like a candle in a storm. Would they truly commit to this journey, embracing the unknown they were about to face together? The next day arrived with a warmth in the air that felt like a blessing. Maya's excitement bubbled over as she prepared for the meeting. The sun spilled golden light on her family's dining table, and she could almost hear her grandma's voice, urging her to aim higher, to aspire for more. Maybe this was the moment she had been waiting for. As she stepped onto the crowded community center porch, her heart raced. People were already gathering, the hum of conversation welcoming her in. There were familiar faces: Miss Carter, Mr. Thompson, and even a few families she recognized from the neighborhood. Yet, there was still one person missing: Terence. Her heart sank at the thought of his skeptical demeanor, but she pushed those feelings aside. Today was about unity. Thank you all for coming. She started, her voice ringing through the room. We're here to turn our ideas into action. Together. A ripple of cheers and applause filled the air, reigniting her spirit. She caught eyes with Ms. Carter, who gave her an encouraging nod. Feeling buoyed, Maya moved to a whiteboard and began jotting down ideas: story wall, potluck plans, veteran invitations, First order of business, she said, let us talk about the story wall. Each of you can bring one photo and a small memory to share. This way, we're honoring not just the veterans but each other's families. Someone from the back shouted, what if we included kids' art too? Maya's eyes lit up. Yes. Everyone can contribute. Let us make it a full community project. What do you all think? Excitement rippled through the group. People began brainstorming about the dishes they could bring. The room felt electric, and Maya felt as if she could fly. But still, Terence lingered in her mind like a dark cloud. As they continued discussing details, the door swung open and in walked Terence, looking like he had just stepped out of his own head. He appeared uneasy, taking in the bustling room, the bright drawings of community spirit lining the walls. Maya swallowed hard but took a deep breath. Hey Terence. Glad you could make it. We were just talking about how to get everyone involved in the potluck. What do you think? His eyes flickered to the group before settling on her. I guess it sounds okay, he said slowly, his arms still crossed but less defiantly now. You could help organize the veteran stories. Maya suggested, pushing the thought into the air like a wish. The suggestion hung between them, and for the first time, she saw a spark of interest ignite in him. I might know a guy who'd want to share, he admitted, his voice softer than before. See? Maya grinned, inviting the camaraderie the room was now filled with. The chatter grew louder, and she could feel spirits lifting. There was palpable energy as they moved on to committee assignments. Groups formed around the tasks, with Maya taking the lead for the story wall and potluck coordination. It felt right, she could feel the pulse of hope. As the meeting closed, Maya announced, let us all meet again in a week to share our progress. Keep the momentum going. The group cheered once more as everyone began to gather their things, but as they dispersed, Maya noticed Terence linger near the door, his fingers fiddling with the hem of his shirt. She approached him, her heart thudding in her chest. Hey, it's great to have you on board. Are you feeling okay about this? He met her gaze, a mix of conflict and something warmer glimmering beneath the surface. I don't want everyone to get disappointed if things don't happen like we hope. Maya felt a soft rush of empathy for him. I get that. But we agreed to try. It's brave to step out like this, and we're all here together. He nodded slowly, but she could see a flicker of uncertainty still in his eyes. Okay, he said finally, I'll help. With that, a sense of relief flooded through her. They were on the brink of something significant, but she knew deep down the biggest change wouldn't just be organizing events, it was about bringing the community together, moment by moment, yet, just as she felt a wave of satisfaction. A knot of worry twisted in her stomach. Could they really hold everything together? And what about those who still felt left out like Terence had before? Maya took a breath, ready for whatever lay ahead. After all, bridging the gaps wasn't just about veterans, it was about every single person in their community. As she turned to leave, a voice caught her attention, a whisper in the crowd that echoed familiar, but with an edge of urgency. I heard something about the past, something that needs to come to light. Curiosity built in her chest. What were they hiding? When Maya walked out of the community center, the glow of anticipation was still surging through her veins. She glanced back at the warm interior, where laughter and chatter helped weave threads of connection between people. But the whisper still echoed in her mind, shaking her confidence. What needed to come to light? Determined to find out more, she quickened her pace. As she turned the corner, she spotted Mr. Thompson sitting on a bench, staring into the distance, his brow furrowed with concern. Mr. Thompson, she called, which drew his gaze. He looked up with a faint smile, yet she could see the shadows under his eyes. Hey there, Maya. You did a great job today, he replied, but there was a certain heaviness in his tone. Thanks, she said, hesitating. I heard something about the past. Do you know what that was about? He sighed, glancing around. Sometimes it's best to leave some things buried, Maya. Not everything can be resolved with a potluck and a story wall. Her heart raced. But we need to know. If there are stories to be shared, they might help us understand each other better. Isn't that the point? Mr. Thompson's eyes softened, a mixture of pride and concern. You have a good heart, kid. But some memories weigh too much to carry. Feeling a mix of frustration and determination, Maya urged, maybe those memories are part of healing. I can't believe hiding from the past is the answer. He chuckled lightly, perhaps appreciating her fervor. It's quite a burden to carry, though. Before she could respond, a familiar figure strolled past. Terence. He paused, his attention piqued by their conversation. What kind of burden? Maya faced him, eager to include him. Mr. Thompson thinks some memories are too heavy. But I think they're important. Terence's expressions flickered between curiosity and something deeper. Like, the way my dad talks about his time in the service? He gets real quiet about the tough stuff. Exactly. Maya exclaimed. If we can share those stories, maybe it will connect us in a way we didn't expect. The idea swirled in her mind, full of promise. Just then, Miss Carter approached, her concern painted across her face. You kids shouldn't be out here alone. Not when there's talk of things best left unsaid. What do you mean? Maya asked, her determination growing stronger. We can't be afraid of what happened before. It's all part of our history. That's easier said than done, Maya. Ms. Carter's voice softened. Not everyone is ready to unpack their pain. But it doesn't have to be painful, Terence interjected. What if we had a space to do it? A safe spot? Maya's heart swelled. Yes. What if we created that safe place at the potluck? Maybe we can have a corner for those who want to share. Ms. Carter looked taken aback, glancing at Mr. Thompson, who seemed to weigh their thoughts. You're sure about this, kids? Maya's resolve was unshakable. That work could bring us together. We can't keep running from our histories. Silence fell for a moment, and Maya could see the wheels turning in their minds. Finally, Mr. Thompson said, You know, I think you might be onto something. The excitement in the air began to swirl again, but just as quickly, a shadow crossed Maya's mind. If they delved into these past stories, how many secrets would come to light? What if it was more than just a burden? What if it changed their understanding entirely? As they stood there, contemplating, she caught sight of a figure lurking at the edge of the park, unfamiliar and watching closely. Goosebumps pricked her skin. Who were they? And what parts of the past were they ready to uncover? Before she could voice her concerns, that figure turned and left, leaving Maya with a gnawing sense of unfinished business. Maybe we should bring this up at the next meeting, she suggested, her voice steady despite the questions flooding her mind. Definitely, Terence agreed, the spark of hope now shining in his eyes. But there's more to this than we can imagine. Maya nodded, ready to embrace whatever truths lay ahead. With every shared story, she understood. They were building a bridge that might just connect the past and present for her entire community. But as she and her friends continued planning, a nagging thought remained. What would happen when the past confronted them, head-on? Maya left the park with a sense of urgency gripping her chest. The gathering shadows of the evening mirrored the weight of her thoughts. What had she uncovered? An opportunity to connect, yes, but also dormant pain lurking just beneath the surface. As she made her way home, questions circled her mind like vultures. The potluck was meant to be a celebration, a chance for laughter and shared meals. But could it transform into a battlefield of unspoken histories? The thought made her stomach churn. Once inside her small apartment, the comforting scent of her mom's famous spaghetti met her. Maya's heart fluttered with warmth, even as worries gnawed at her. She found her mom sitting at the kitchen table, a few bills spread out before her and a furrow etched between her brows. Hey, honey. Her mom greeted, her voice brightening the room. How was the community center? It was different, Maya replied, plopping into the chair across from her mom. We talked about sharing stories at the potluck. But it might open up some painful stuff. Her mother's eye twinkled with a mix of pride and concern. That can be a lot for people, especially if it's uncomfortable. Are you ready for that kind of responsibility? I think so, Maya said, her voice resolute. I really believe we can help each other heal. Her mother smiled softly. You've always been wise beyond your years. Just remember, though, people can surprise you. Sometimes they hold on to their pain tightly. Maya considered this. She thought of the stranger who had watched them in the park. What was their story? Why did they linger? It made her restless. That evening, despite her mom's attempt at distraction through a favorite movie, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that she had to act. She needed to rally her friends. They weren't just hoping for a fun gathering, they were calling forth painful histories, reconciliation, and hope. The next morning, bright and early, she called Terence and a few other friends, setting up an impromptu meeting at the park. As they gathered, their excitement shifted to anxiety, each sharing the unspoken fears that rested on their chests. What if we hurt someone's feelings? Gina, a shy girl with pigtails, asked, her eyes darting around the group. What if people refuse to talk? Terence wondered aloud, his fingers running nervously through his hair. Maya took a deep breath. What if we all just promise to listen? If someone wants to speak, we let them. And if they don't, that's okay too. Slowly, their spirits lifted, and ideas started flowing. A bulletin board for stories, decorations to set the mood, music that brought back memories. They began planning together, their laughter intermingling with the sunlight that poured through the trees, but in the back of her mind, the unrecognizable figure from yesterday haunted her. What if they were connected to someone's pain? What if they were waiting for their chance to finally be heard? As the meeting wrapped up, Maya felt a tug at her heart, a stirring unease wrapped in excitement. The path forward seemed glimmering, but she sensed a storm brewing, the kind that could uproot everything they were working to build. When she turned to walk home, the hairs on the back of her neck prickled as she caught a glimpse of the shadowy figure again, this time stepping out from behind a tree. Her breath quickened. Who were they? And what secret were they waiting to share? Her heart raced, anticipation mixed with fear. She couldn't shake the feeling that the upcoming potluck was going to bring more than just stories, it could shake the very foundation of their community. Maya pushed forward, determined not to back down, but a creeping dread lingered. Would they be prepared for the truth that was about to come crashing down? Maya hurried home, her mind racing with possibilities and implications. The figure loomed larger in her thoughts, casting a shadow over her anticipation for the potluck. What did they want? Did they hold answers to the questions that twisted in her gut? She stepped inside her apartment, hoping the familiar scent of her mom's cooking would soothe her fraying nerves. Instead, the murmur of voices from the living room drifted in, reminding her that the world outside her mind still turned. She found her mom in front of the TV, laughing at an old sitcom with a neighbor, Ms. Doris, who was known for her hearty chuckles and warm pies. Hey, Maya. Ms. Doris called out, her smile as inviting as always. Come join us. We're just having a little laugh about old times. Maya forced a smile, but her heart wasn't in it. Thanks, Ms. Doris. I'll be right there, she replied, weaving through the small living room cluttered with stacks of bills and crumpled receipts. Still, a part of her felt drawn to the couch and the light banter. But as the laughter echoed, so did her worries. She didn't just want to escape, she wanted to enact change. She needed to share her vision of bridging their community's fractures. Mom, can I talk to you for a second? Maya asked, pulling her mom away from the laughter. Sure, sweetie. What's on your mind? Her mother leaned against the doorframe, a look of concern flashing across her face. It's about the potluck. I'm nervous. I might not have prepared everyone for what's coming, Maya admitted. What if some people can't let go of their pain? What if they need to speak, but don't know how? Her mother reached out, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Honey, it's a delicate balance. Life is a mix of joy and sorrow. You can't control how others will react. But you can create a safe space for them. Maya nodded, sensing the truth in those words. After a moment, her mom added, remember that figure you saw at the park? You could invite them to the potluck. Maybe they have something to share, too. The idea struck Maya like a bolt of lightning. What if they are scared? What if they've faced something terrible? Then that's precisely where the kindness comes in, her mom replied, her eyes sparkling with a wisdom that made Maya's heart swell. Feeling a bit lighter, Maya half smiled. I'll figure out how to invite them. That evening, as twilight began to blanket the sky, Maya grabbed her notebook and headed out again. This time, she wanted to confront her fears. She ventured to the park, scanning the trees and pathways for any sign of the mystery figure. As her heart thudded in her chest, she thought of those still untold stories waiting in the shadows. Maybe they're searching for the same connection I am, she whispered to herself. Just then, she caught a glimpse of someone sitting on a bench, almost blending into the fading light. It was them. The shadows danced around the person, a figure cloaked in uncertainty. Maya approached, her courage swelling with each step. Hi, she called out, careful not to startle them. You were at the park the other day. The figure turned, their face barely visible in the dusk. There was something hauntingly familiar, yet guarded in their expression. Do you want to talk? Maya asked, heart racing. We're having a potluck soon. It's a chance for everyone to share their stories. Why? The voice came quietly, yet with urgency, like it held a world of pain behind it. Maya swallowed hard. Because we don't have to be alone in our pain. We can help each other heal. The figure's eyes flickered with a hint of something curiosity or fear, she couldn't tell. But there was a spark there. What if I can't? The figure whispered, as if admitting a secret. Maya took a deep breath. Then just come and listen. No pressure. Just know you're welcome. The figure's silence hung in the air. As she stood there, waiting for a response, her heart caught in her throat, Maya realized how profound the moment felt. Change was right there, waiting to unfold. But would they accept her invitation? Would this figure unravel the layers of their shared community hurts? With those questions echoing in her mind, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that tomorrow would be a turning point. The potluck wasn't just a gathering, it was a reckoning waiting to happen. What truths would emerge when they all finally gathered together? Maya stood there, feeling the weight of the evening air pressing against her. The figure's eyes searched for something, perhaps a glimmer of reassurance, perhaps courage, but they remained still, unresolved in their silence. Look, Maya whispered, taking a step closer, bringing the warmth of her words into the cool night. I know it's a lot to ask. But we need each other. We all carry something, don't we? The figure's shoulders twitched ever so slightly, and for a moment, fear flickered away, revealing a tender vulnerability underneath. People don't like to talk about pain, they muttered. They think it'll break them. But sharing can be a strength, Maya urged. It can connect us. Isn't that what we're all looking for? To not feel so alone anymore. A hesitant nod broke through the figure's defenses. Maybe they started, their voice trailing off into uncertain echoes. Maya could feel her pulse quickening, hope igniting within her chest like the first light of dawn. Let me make it easier. I'll be there. We'll just sit, and if you want to talk, it'll be okay. If not, that's okay too. The figure looked away briefly, as if wrestling with an internal storm of thoughts. The confusion on their face spoke volumes, but also hinted at a profound yearning for connection. And what if it's too hard? Maya took a deep breath, feeling the weight of those words. It felt like a chasm of fears, one she too had glimpsed. Then we take it slow. One story at a time. You don't have to bear it all at once. There was a momentary stillness, as the world around them faded into a gentle quiet, the park cradled by shadows and whispered secrets. Okay, the figure finally said, voice barely above a hush, I'll try. Maya felt light, as though a heavy chain had unshackled from her heart. Thank you, she replied, warmth flooding her being. You don't know how much this means to me. The figure shifted slightly, its posture easing ever so gently. What should I bring? Whatever you like. Maya replied, excitement bubbling to the surface. Food, a story, a song, whatever feels right to you. I'll think about it, they said, a flicker of hope igniting in their eyes. I might even bring a friend. Maya's heart raced, she could barely hold back her grin. That would be amazing. More voices mean more stories. We might just find some healing together. As they stood together in that park bathed in twilight, something shifted in the air around them. The uncertainty began to dissolve, replaced by budding trust. Maya couldn't help but think how simple acts of courage ignited that night. It wasn't just about sharing pain, it was about choosing love, forging connections despite fears. Will I find you here again? Maya asked, her heart still singing with promise. I'll be here. I'll see you at the potluck, the figure replied, their voice stronger now, as they began to rise from the bench. As they walked away, the shadows enveloped them, yet Maya felt a sense of clarity. Darkness didn't have to be lonely, it could be a collective journey of resilience. With anticipation coursing through her, Maya hurried home, her mind racing, but this time not with uncertainty. It was filled with hope, possibilities, and the promise of healing, but as she ascended the stairs to her apartment, she couldn't shake the thought, what if other hidden stories emerged at the potluck? What if she discovered even more shared truths, darker than she expected? The anticipation thrummed in her veins. Tomorrow was bound to reveal things she had yet to uncover. Would the potluck be a gathering of mended hearts or a storm of unspoken pain? The next morning, the sun spilled through Maya's window, casting a warm golden light across her floor. She blinked awake, the reality of the potluck vibrating in her chest like a drumbeat. Excitement, nerves, and a bit of fear swirled within her. She knew that today could change everything. As she prepared breakfast, her mind raced through a list of what to bring. Should she stick to her tried-and-true pasta salad or venture into something new? She wanted to make a good impression, not just for herself but for the figure from the park and whoever else might join. She decided on her mother's famous chili. It carried memories of home, warmth, and laughter, just what they might need. After packing her dish carefully, she glanced in the mirror, evaluating her outfit. A simple blue sundress, nothing too fancy, just enough to express hope. She remembered the figure's hesitant smile, how it hinted at something deeper. Today was about more than food, it was about connection. The anticipation propelled her down the street towards the community center where the potluck was set to begin. As she walked, the neighborhood buzzed with life. Children played, parents chatted over fences, and the scent of barbecue floated through the air. A part of her felt uneasy, wondering if all these families bore their own burdens. Did they have tales of courage or hidden pain, just waiting to be shared? Upon entering the community center, she was greeted by a sea of familiar faces. Some waved hello, while others were lost in their own worlds. The warmth of the space enveloped her, infused with laughter and teasing aromas. Maya set her chili on a table lined with a rainbow of dishes. But her heart quickened when she spotted the figure from the park in one corner, standing a little apart from the crowd. Hey there! She called, hoping to bridge the distance. The figure smiled, and it didn't take long for Maya to see the flicker of connection she had felt the night before. Did you bring anybody? Maya asked, trying to keep her voice casual. The figure nodded, but before they could respond, a girl burst into their space, an energetic whirlwind of chatter. I'm here. I'm here. I brought dessert. She exclaimed, holding up a tray of cupcakes that looked like little masterpieces. The figure's expression softened, and Maya could see they were indeed grateful for this companion. "Who is this?" Maya asked, her curiosity piqued. "This is Zoe, my best friend," the figure said, a bit of pride spilling into their voice. Zoe beamed. "You should try my cupcakes. They're the best." Maya couldn't help but smile at Zoe's enthusiasm. It reminded her of her childhood, of moments when laughter could wash away deep-rooted fears. As they settled into small talk, Maya felt a flicker of hope that perhaps they could all take steps toward healing together, but as the chatter began to flow, she caught glimpses of other faces nearby, some deeply immersed in conversation, others quietly observing as if holding back their stories. A moment of tension in the collective atmosphere tightened her stomach. There was layered pain there, waiting to unfold. Maya leaned closer to the figure and Zoe, lowering her voice. "So are you both ready to share?" The question hung in the air, weighted with urgency and vulnerability. Zoe tilted her head, her eyes wide as she took in Maya's sincerity. The figure hesitated but seemed to summon courage again. That glimmer of hope sparked within them, igniting something profound, but as they prepared to dive into deeper conversation, a sudden commotion erupted across the room. A loud voice erupted, cutting through the atmosphere like a knife. "Who wants to hear a story from the past?" The gathered crowd began to murmur, curiosity piqued, tension thickening in anticipation. Maya's heart raced. This was it. The moment where all wouldn't just shift for her but for everyone. Would they embrace the pain, or would they shy away? What could emerge from the stories shared? Would they find unexpected strength or uncover scars that never healed? Maya felt her heart pound in her chest as she turned to see Mr. Thompson stepping forward into the circle of curious faces. His posture was strong, yet the shadows of past burdens lingered in his gaze. "I think it's time for some of the past to see the light," he said, his voice steady and resonant. The air thickened with anticipation, and Maya's palms began to sweat. She looked around the room, meeting gazes filled with unspoken fears and unhealed wounds. Would they be ready to hear Mr. Thompson's story? "You all know I served during the war," he began, glancing around the room, his eyes catching every listener. "But there is something I haven't shared. I lost friends, brothers, and I've carried the weight of their memories with me for far too long. They fought for freedom, yes, but they fought for each other, and I couldn't save them." His voice faltered, revealing the rawness that lay tucked beneath his stoicism. A murmur swept through the crowd, some turning their heads, others leaning in closer, ready to listen. Maya could feel the shift, a palpable energy awakening the memories buried within their own hearts. "Sometimes, it feels like I'm still at war," he continued, anguish seeping through his words. "Those thoughts can haunt you, make you feel invisible, like no one sees the scars you carry. But what I've learned," he paused, searching for the right expression, "is that sharing these stories can lift the weight. It can remind us that pain doesn't have to isolate us, it can connect us." A hush fell over the room. Maya glanced at the figure beside her, their expression thoughtful, the gears of understanding ticking away behind their eyes. Zoe clutched her cupcake tray tightly, her eyes wide in disbelief. They could feel the power radiating from Mr. Thompson's truth. More voices began to spring forth as Mr. Thompson's words broke through barriers like sunlight piercing fog. One by one, others shared their own stories, each voice adding a unique thread to their collective tapestry. Gina spoke of her grandfather's service, Terence hesitantly talked about his father's struggles with PTSD, and soon more stories flooded out, a rush of vulnerability igniting the room. Maya's heart soared with every story shared. To witness the strength in their unfolding connections, to see them lay bare their experiences, was beautiful. It was as if darkness was evaporating. She felt the burdens lifting, not just for Mr. Thompson, but for everyone gathered. Each face transformed, becoming radiant with hope and empathy. In that moment, the potluck transcended its purpose, it became a beacon of healing, a sanctuary. Everyone who had once felt like an outsider found a spot within that circle of shared humanity. As the sharing continued, Maya saw a flicker of hesitation in the figure next to her. They seemed to be grappling with the weight of their own silence, memories held too tightly. The time had come to speak, and Maya felt compelled to reach for them. You know you can share too, she whispered, looking into their eyes. You're not alone. The figure swallowed hard, and for a split second, uncertainty clouded their features. But suddenly, they took a deep breath, their eyes shimmering with emotion. Okay, they said, voice trembling slightly. I'll try. As their story poured forth, the room collectively held its breath. The figure spoke of loss, fear, and the struggle to belong, and as they did, the depth of their experience echoed with the truths that had been shared. Maya felt the unbreakable bonds of understanding forming in the air, stitching together the hearts in the room. Each story, each moment shared illuminated the shadows of their past. The pain that had once felt isolating began to shift, evolving into a collective understanding and acceptance. You could feel the relief washing over the community as they took steps toward healing together, lifting the burdens they had silently carried. As the evening progressed, laughter and camaraderie replaced the echoes of sorrow. The chili simmered in pots, and Zoe's cupcakes found their way into grateful hands. Maya watched, her heart swelling with gratitude. They had faced the ugly truths together and emerged stronger on the other side. Mar Thompson stood again, a slow smile blooming across his face. You've all shown true bravery tonight, he said, his voice rich with warmth. Each of you shared a piece of soul. Those pieces matter. They bind us in ways that silence never could. In that moment, Maya realized this was just the beginning. The potluck had sparked change, a network of support woven through stories, love, and an understanding that would ripple through their community for years to come. They were not just celebrating veterans, they were celebrating each other's lives, a recognition of shared journeys that had previously remained unspoken and unheard. As laughter rang through the air, as newfound friendships blossomed from the seeds of connection, Maya knew they had forged a new path, a path of collective healing, illuminated by the courage to speak and the willingness to listen. And as they all gathered together, hearts a little lighter, burdens a little easier to bear, Maya felt a radiant hope surge within her, a flame of possibility igniting, drawing them all toward a brighter future filled with understanding, compassion, and strength. This was a moment to cherish, and all she could do was smile, knowing they had finally stepped into the light, together. To everyone watching this story, this is where you come in. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next amazing stories that inspire change. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories alive. Don't hesitate, comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the love and healing together. Join us, every action counts.